Ooh, might make your head blow off.
Hey yo, it's a talk show host, Kana Lassiter. Join me for an episode of Relations, the most lit hour of adult conversation.
Hold up, you know you can't forget about me. It's 51 Spade, Alpha Male God, one half of Relations. You wanna hear the truth? Can you handle the truth? It's where it's at, baby. It's where it's at, baby.
What's good? Welcome to an all-new episode of Relations. My name is Kana Lassiter.
Say it with me now, Alpha Male God, 51 Spade, aka the ninja you love to hate. I'm definitely in the building.
You know how we do it. It's 2 topics in 1 hour, so we're going to jump right in. The first topic of the night is going to be, are younger people at any type of disadvantage dating older? And the second topic is single parent homes. Both interesting topics. Let's start with single parent homes. Let's get that one out of the way. I think it'll be pretty easy. I think we're kind of evenly yoked on how we feel about it. Not sure because we've never really talked about it before. We've kind of danced around the topic.
How you gonna make that statement?
Just because I've been doing the show with you for a while, then I pretty much...
You don't know shit. Go ahead.
Don't start early. Why we gotta start like that?
Yeah, you saying false narratives. That's the problem right now.
I just think we share some of the same basics.
Okay.
And I feel like kids have a advantage if they have both a male figure and female figure in the home, mom and dad, mom and stepdad, whatever. I think that every child has a better opportunity with both parents in the home. Are there situations where there was a single parent that turned out a gem? Absolutely. But it's not something I think any of us choose. And I think that's why the topic's so important, because in modern times...
What do you mean this is something that we don't choose?
Well, when I was growing up and I imagined myself with a baby, I also imagined myself with a husband. I imagine myself in a house. I imagine myself being an at-home mom. I never even imagined myself holding down any type of job if I chose the job as mom. So my idea of motherhood is still very based in traditional stuff. But I think today's world is different. I think...
Did you say the key word? Traditional stuff.
Yeah.
We ain't dealing with traditional stuff.
Exactly.
We're dealing with modern women.
We are dealing with modern women, which now makes the topic of single parent homes very important, because there are women who are saying, if I want to have a baby, I want to have a baby, and I'm going to get artificial insemination, get a surrogate, I'm going to have a baby, and I'm going to raise it on my own. Mm-hmm. Or they choose to have babies from men who have shown them nothing to indicate that they would be good dads. And that, to me, both of those are the same.
That's right. And then they have women who also get divorced and decide that they want to be happy and take them kids along with them for that ride, because I, in the pursuit of happiness, thinking they Will Smith, you know what I'm saying, and decide to raise that child when they young. So, what's the fuck so funny?
I'm just saying, the whole pursuit of happiness Will Smith thing, I thought it was funny.
Gotcha. So, now, since we done talked about that, now we got to tackle the discussion. I ain't gonna say the issue, but we'll tackle the discussion on what do you tell women when they make those statements like that?
Well, I've never really had to have the conversation, because it's always something that you are observing from afar. Like, usually this comes to fruition. Yeah, when something happens.
It's a show though. So now you got women that they gonna be in the modern stance of,
okay,
I can raise a child by my own. Mm-hmm. You have a sister raising a child on her own.
She is. Huh? But I've never said to her, you know what I'm saying? Are you sure? I think that I think there's a very fine line. You understand, when you're talking about someone with their body and their choice. Now, that's why I always say no one would choose that. So if I were going to sit down with somebody, I would try to use that angle. Like, when you imagined yourself in a great situation, did you ever imagine yourself by yourself? raising your child? And if I'm going to use my sister as an example, she's going to say no. Of course, I never imagined that I would have to raise my kid by myself. I just happened to be doing it by myself.
Gotcha. But is that a oops? Because a lot of times that motherhood might have not even been in envision for her. And I don't even want to, stay on that because that's your family and stuff like that. But let's say, for instance, like you have a lot of women that a oops happen. They not envisioning parenthood, motherhood, nothinghood. You know what I'm saying? It's something that happened. You know what I'm saying? You might be in a swingers lifestyle. You might be in wearing your fuck 'em dress and out. You know what I'm saying? Just having a good time. Oops happened, and now you a parent. So my thing with that is, some people choosing. Some people don't even have. They don't even think that's a possibility. They out here having sex with no protection, rubber, protecting themselves, birth control, no nothing. And then they're like, okay, well, look, the chips lie where they lie. So it's unfair planning, a lot of times because the child doesn't actually be brought into this world, but now because you're negligent and make negligent decisions, you're bringing in a child with your negligent ruling.
Yeah, and I agree. I wish that was more of a conversation pre-baby. Like
those do be conversations pre-baby. The reason I'm saying that, and I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have those conversations. I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to have I don't want to have this conversation with you about no fucking like bullshit excuses. Like we do have those conversations. You know as well as I know is we don't like to listen. Male and female, we hard headed when it come to those type of situations. There are dudes that, hey, I don't like rubbers, knowing they can get someone pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And I'm starting like that because I don't want to start and be like, oh, you putting it on the woman. No, there's dudes out there who don't like wearing rubbers. Then they get somebody pregnant, knowing damn well they shouldn't be fathering nobody. But they, at the same time, they have women who take the same. I've been with women, plenty of them. You know what I'm saying? They don't like wearing rubbers, knowing they damn well can get pregnant. Don't protect themselves, no birth control. They get pregnant. Then it's my body, my choice. Like you said, I suggest, hey, you want to take a plan B. I'm not saying I've done that. I'm just saying, like, obviously right now I don't know if that's even a case or.
It is an option in some states.
Gotcha. But that's my situation. That's what I'm saying. Like we do have those choices, and those are talked about. But a lot of us are so infatuated with sex, that's second thought. Sometimes that ain't even second thought.
Well, what I meant by an earlier conversation is I think the conversation of the disadvantage of children in single parent homes is, I don't want to say new, because we've always talked about single parent homes forever. What I'm talking about now are the statistics that come out that are saying, hey, there's a high percentage of men in jail and they came from single parent homes.
Correct.
Hey, there's a high percentage of men who kill and they happen to come from single parent homes.
Gotcha.
All these things now are coming to fruition, all these statistics. And I don't think this was a conversation that you had with your 18, 19-year-old girl. You're just telling her, hey, don't have a baby early. You want to be married first. These are the type of conversations that we had that you're talking about. We're not talking about, hey, you might produce a human that is severely disadvantaged mentally, physically, emotionally. He will not win. That is not the conversation that we've had in the past. That these kids that we're having without both parents in unhealthy environments are turning out to be dreadful. Menace to society, not doing well.
Shit, she went hard. Menace to society. So for those of y'all that don't know what she's talking about, I'm going to play something for y'all.
Youth suicides are from single mother homes. 90% of homelessness and runaway children are from single mother homes.
You can't put that on the mother.
85% of children who show behavioral disorders are from single mother homes. 80% of rapists with anger problems are from single mother homes. 71% of high school dropouts are from single mother homes. 70% of youths in operated institutions are from single mother homes. 80% of all the youths that are in prison are from single mother homes. This shows that boys and girls need both their mother and their father. And I will tell you, as a father, I know from raising my son that he needs both me and his mother 63% of youths.
So that's kind of to go into the detail, just in case y'all was wondering where we was going with this. And that's why I kind of started the way that I started, because I didn't want it to be like, as I was even playing that clip, obviously the guy is in a room full of women. And the very first thing that she said was, you hear some woman saying, you can't put that on the mother. And that's what I was talking about right there. Accountability a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Like, when men don't have the choice whether you have a child or not, but women are not also a lot of times taking in accountability of all those statistics of what can happen when you decide to have a child with someone you barely know, have sex with someone you barely know, don't know about their background, don't know if they're there to be a father, don't know if they want to be a father, don't know if they'll want to be in the child's life, and then you bring that child in this world and don't know the outcome, just saying, well, let the chips lie where they lie.
Just gonna have a baby.
But you could produce one of these statistics that he read off. And I'm not putting that on women. You know, I'm going to say that when we have those type of conversations, you're right. Those conversations need to be a little bit deeper besides, hey, you need to wear rubber. Hey, you need to protect yourself.
Go get your college education. That's why you don't get pregnant. You don't not get pregnant because you might produce a mass murderer. Those aren't the type of conversations that we're having. But now that we have this information, and if just the basics, just having a kid that is disadvantaged, period. If we take all the murdering and raping, because I know that's going to the extreme, that's the worst, it's real. But some of us who are a little bit sheltered like myself or not desensitized yet, that's deep. To think that we could give birth to someone that could kill. Okay, how about this? How about just giving birth to somebody who would be severely disadvantaged? Not able to make sound choices and decisions based on being emotionally hurt, based on a decision that you made to bring him in this world by yourself, or separate him from his father for one reason or another, or having a baby from someone who you knew wasn't father material. He wasn't even boyfriend material.
So now someone's going to challenge you and be like, people change or men change. Because I often hear this a lot of times. Like, we'll say something, particularly on podcasts, and then there's this rebuttal of, they always put it on the women, and then they blame us and say, and acting like we didn't vet this guy fully enough. He could have lied. He could have changed. He could have X, Y, Z, and those things. Which I'm not saying that they can't happen, but I do question, did you really vet him?
And I was going to say that too, because I think you and I were watching something, and it was, I think a baby was born, they had a surrogate, and the baby was born deaf. And the doctor said, oh, this could be hereditary. And the father said, well, I don't have any deafness on my side. And then the wife said, well, my great aunt, and the husband was pissed for the entire rest of the movie. He felt slighted. And she kept asking him, what is the problem? He said, you never told me you had a deaf great aunt. She said, what does that matter? It matters because I decided to have a baby with you. And they planned this pregnancy. This was through a surrogate. So they had to retrieve eggs. There was enough time, and they had to go through enough that this should have been information available to him. And this is, so did you really vet? I know I'm going deep, but you're deciding to bring a whole human being on this planet. And you don't want to ask if there's a history of mental illness. You don't want to know how homeboy did in high school. What was his GPA? All that is not even on your radar. None of it is on your radar, but you're actually considering bringing a whole human being on this planet and having to navigate through everything that we have going on. I think it's hard enough for me to navigate it at my age and with my intelligence. So I can't even fathom bringing another soul onto this planet right now. So for someone to make that decision and not say, hey, let me check off all these boxes, as many boxes as I can, to try to create a healthy human being, if you're going to do it anyway, can we at least give him an advantage? Can we give him a head start in the race? Why are we raising kids? We're already, as a culture, considered to be behind. So we're just going to keep passing that on and then give birth to a baby that is already 10 steps behind someone else who has just one basic thing, a mommy and a daddy. That makes absolutely no sense to me.
And I couldn't answer that question. If I'm being completely honest, I can't answer those questions. That what you're talking about, I get that. That's a surrogate situation. Those type of details will be. So I don't want to go to that. That's a bit extreme.
It's just I'm just saying vetting in general.
I got it. But that I'm saying is a surrogate. You're going to be more pissed about that because there are details that they specifically ask in a situation like that. And maybe that should be brought to the forefront as far as dating. I'm going to say for me, like I found out a lot of things for me about my baby mom after the fact. You see what I'm saying? Now, granted, I was young. I accepted the responsibility of not vetting correctly about family members and stuff like that. And I took that as a learning experience. And moving forward, I'm like, you know what? You got to dig a little deeper when you're talking about having a child with you know what I'm saying, with someone. Like for me, in my current situation, I wouldn't have a child in my current situation just because we have two total different parenting styles. Then I also see her parents and how they act. And it's something that I'm not willing to bring into my life because I feel it would cause problems. But that is for me personally. That's personally how I feel about those things. But sometimes someone needs to take those type of responsibilities for their self to say, you know what? I can foresee problems with this. A lot of times I feel like the mother, if you decide to take that child and you say, well, I'm going to raise this child, they don't even consider the idea of anything going wrong. Mm-hmm. That's the reason I'm mentioning this, is because if I see something going wrong, I'm trying to either not fall into that or correct it before it happens. But I see a lot of women, a lot of times, they'll have the child and still see some shit that they probably need help with. Be like, you know what, I had a son. So it's probably a good chance that I probably need to have his father in the life. But make the conscious decision to be like, you know what, nope, you ain't going to see the child. And then they have a household full of women. No men, no uncles, no granddads, no nothing. Just aunties, spinsters, whole kind of shit. And then raise a young man in that environment. And then get mad out here when they're dating now, saying, you know, the down low and stuff like that, when some of these things they kind of create.
Yeah, they did create them. Ain't no kinda in it. They definitely created it. And this is what these single parent homes really produce. Like I said, we probably have a single mom watching right now who did a phenomenal job. I know a couple. You know what I'm saying? That do great jobs.
I do too.
But there is a higher number of kids who don't turn out well, and that's what we really want to focus on.
But that's why we played the numbers, so you can see the statistics. Mm-hmm. Because for each woman that's gonna say that, there always gonna be a person that says that. But guess what? Mm-hmm. For every woman that can say that, there's a man that can combat that. Don't believe us? Look at the last show. You might have not liked what he said, but you can bet your bottom dollar that he has both of his sons. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Raising.
But do you think that they will be at, since we're talking about single parent homes, he would be an example of a single parent home. Now, he has everything on the outside that looks like, hey, he could probably do a good job. He has the money. He has the smarts. He could raise his kids and do a good job. But where's mom?
Well, finances a lot of time don't create you doing a good job. Now, where is mom? You would have to ask mom that. That's the difference, though. The difference is you have a man that is single, raising his boys and have his boys, but not keeping the mother away from the children. You see what I'm saying?
But they're still not in the house, which is the topic.
Got you. I understand that. But that's also a choice on her end, whether she want to be there or not. A lot of times with fathers, you don't have to have them in the house. I want to be perfectly clear. But I'm talking about the balance of the time that they spend with the father and the time that they spend with the mother need to be there. A lot of time the balance isn't there because the mother refuses to let the father in. On his case, it's not that he's against them going to see their mother. He sends them to their mother. A lot of times it was for the guy can't see him because the mother's saying, no, I don't want to. Since you didn't pay child support, then I don't want him to see you. Because you didn't do something, I don't want you to come over. Because you didn't show up on this day, you ain't finna see them. That's what I'm talking about. There are men who are fathers that's willing to show up that are being prevented from showing up. This is not a case of him being a household and there's not a mother there. And I also speak from this different perspective. I was not with my kid's mother, but I had a woman in the house. The issue that came into play was because I was seeing someone and she didn't want them around my current girlfriend. You see what I'm saying? There's different dynamics that come into play. You can have two people in that household, but a mama is still a mama role. So I never once tried to say, this is my girlfriend and this need to be y'all mama now. It's not what I did, you know. They mama always made clear that was their mama. Did I feel like I had that same type of respect? No, I did not. That mother was not saying that's your daddy and this and that. She was in a current situation. I didn't get that same type of respect.
Right. I don't think you really answered the question. I think you did, but you didn't.
I did.
Now, I know how you fixed it up by saying, hey, don't take it literal. You don't have to be under the same roof. We're really more speaking about balance. But I think I'm going to disagree with you. I think we're talking about the choice to remove. I'm not saying remove from the life. I didn't think that's what the topic was. I know that some of the situations surrounding the topic, some of the men can't have access to their children. But I will tell you this. I saw both of my parents. I grew up with just my mom most of the time when she wasn't in a relationship and married, because I've had 2 stepfathers. Mm-hmm. But when she first separated from my dad, it wasn't like I didn't see my dad. But there was still pressure. I still have a lot to complain about as a girl who grew up in a single parent home. Gotcha. Splitting holidays. That's fucking traumatic. Mm-hmm. It's traumatic to have to say, okay, put away your presents. Now we're going to take you to your grandma's house on your daddy's side. And then you at there and you're looking at your watch because now you want to go to your grandma's house on your mama's side. Mm-hmm. So as a kid, and you feel bad about not wanting to stay at this grandma's house and going over that grandma's house. You know why you want to go over that grandma's house? Because that's where all the kids at. And at this grandma's house is boring. But your grandma wants you to spend time with her. And that tugs it killed me. It's hurtful for me now as an adult to talk about not wanting to be at my daddy's mama's house as much as I wanted to be at my mama's house. And I feel like if we were all a family and there was never a divorce, that wouldn't be an issue. You know why? Because grandma over there would be over this grandma's house. And because they're intermingling still, and your family has extended, you could all be under one roof. And that's what's healthy for your kid. It is not healthy to say 8 to 4 Christmas here, and then 5 to midnight you're going to go to your dad's house. It's torture.
Gotcha. In a perfect world, that would sound good. Man, and unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, I got tissues for you. You want to cry. Not trying to be insensitive with you saying, I'm just talking about living in the real world. But I also want to say this. I covered your answers from every angle that you're talking about. Going all the way back to 1, vetting the man correctly. You understand what I'm saying? There's a reason why that divorce happened. Either your dad didn't vet your mom, or your mom didn't vet your dad, and that's why the divorce happened. That's a lot of times what I was talking about in the beginning. Sometimes people just stay together because they have kids. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I got pregnant. What you want to do? You know what I'm saying? And then they stay there. Not compatible. Not relationship. Their relationship isn't. And now they think that child will bring them together. If the child isn't or doesn't come together, then you end up in a situation where you're separate. That you can't do anything about. If you made that mistake, it's up for that father to be there the way that the father needs to be there, and the mother let him be there, and vice versa. You know, what I'm talking about is situations that happened that didn't work out, and I talked about situations where you can prevent them from not working out from just simply vetting the person that you with, whether that's male or female, to make that relationship work. Some people should not have kids. Hate to say it, but I'm 1,000 standing on that. Some people don't need to have kids. Mm-hmm. There are men, and I've met men that openly was like, I was never supposed to have kids because I don't even like kids, but they got kids. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What do you do with that? Yeah. Ain't shit you can do with it. Mm-hmm. The kid is here now. You understand what I'm saying? I've even had situations where the dad then gave the baby mom abortion money. She didn't even use it. You know what I'm saying? She was like, thanks for the cash, and just had the kid anyway. You see what I'm saying? Because it's your body, your choice. I don't want to make up no fairy tales. You know, don't get me wrong. That's why I say in a perfect world, I understand your want for wanting to be together. But hey, everybody ain't Will Smith and trying and have enough money to bring everybody united, this and that. And even at that point in time, he went bananas. We saw that from slapping Chris Rock. It just is one of those scenarios that sometimes it looks good. You see what I'm saying? When a lot of shit is falling on a person's shoulder, particularly a man. But that don't mean that man can't break down. You understand what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I understand that, but I also think this. Producing another human life is probably the biggest decision and choice anybody will ever make.
Right.
And what I'm saying is it deserves research. It deserves testing. It deserves
I totally agree.
So much. And if you're doing all that, then you have to be actively preventing yourself from getting pregnant from the guy you just met last night. Mm-hmm. You have to actively decide whether this divorce is the best thing for your children. Right now.
But that's the problem, though. That's the problem right there of what you're talking about. In a perfect world, I often say, you know, I get jumped on about this shit. Vet your man. Vet the person you sitting down with, this and that. No. You know, both men and women disguise that by horniness. I was horny. I was lonely. He was there. You hear these type of excuses. I ain't never heard nobody be like, you know what? Sit down on a date. What does your parents do? You know what I'm saying? Do you like your mama? How is your relationship with your mama? How's your relationship with your dad? You can see a lot of this trauma before we even get like that. But does that happen? No. You meet a motherfucking club, you throwing back drinks the way, you know what I'm saying, motherfuckers do. You get horny, you go home, and that's how that go. What you talking about? I've even watched motherfuckers that be in a polyamory, swinging, all type of shit. Happen, and now they don't like that lifestyle no more. Because they got a child in the play. You know what I'm saying? In the BDSM, the whole nine. And because now you have a child, you got to come out of that lifestyle because you made a mistake. Mm-hmm. But you have to remember that person that you swinging with, BDSM, all kind of shit. Scenarios like men who let their women fuck other dudes, get pregnant by another dude. Guess what come into play? Yeah. A goddamn child. Yeah. I'm not playing. I'm serious. Yeah. These type of things happen.
They do.
And no one is protecting themselves. No one is saying, should I have this child? And the person that's making the decisions, I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, it's the ladies. Yeah. Because we don't have no control of that. Mm-hmm. If we say, I don't think you should have that child,
you're the devil.
We are the bad guy. Off rip. We're the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. I'm keeping the child. Okay?
So now you made a mistake to make another mistake.
Yeah, and now I'm dealing with 18 years of that mistake because you decided to keep the child. So that's what I'm saying. Like, in theory, that sounds good. Like, that scenario that you painted, I feel sorry for you. But this is the thing about that, what you were saying. Who do you blame for that, though? Who do you blame for having to go over to your grandma's house and spend time over there that you ain't have to? You don't want to paint the finger and say, you know what, Dad, you shouldn't have had kids. If you was this reckless, and I don't know who at fault it was, but that's how serious the conversation would have to be. You saying, you know what, Mom, you shouldn't have had children. If you knew that you wasn't wife material, then why did you even out here slinging that cat like you like flipjacks?
Mm-hmm. Because we'll go crazy if we find out someone became a professional by fault, got a fake degree, out here doing plastic surgery, ain't went to college for it.
Exactly.
We have a cow, but it's okay for somebody to be barefoot and pregnant at 16. And it's okay for someone to get pregnant on a one-night stand. And you're signing up for the biggest job there is on the planet, raising another human being, and you don't need a license or a fucking mental check to do it. You could just get pregnant and decide to have that baby. And that is scary.
And I also tell you this. The biggest thing also that we don't talk about is, unfortunately, is with the children, some of this shit is incentivized by the government. It gives the women incentive to have children because they will have government help and assistance and a house and get them paid and stuff like this. And we acting like this shit don't happen. Anytime a man brings this up, it's like, what the fuck y'all talking about? We out here running shit. Women run the world. Y'all still got bitches just like we got niggas that ain't shit. So stop with that. I'm tired of hearing that. Every woman ain't no boss. Ain't every woman don't know what to do. Every woman ain't no leader. Every woman out here is as reckless as anybody else. And we gonna act like this shit don't exist. And act like women ain't using if women weren't using these governmental aids, then why are they still around? That's all you gotta do is ask yourself that. Why is this Section 8 still around? Why is food stamps still around? Why is Medicaid still around? If women ain't using this shit, why is it still around? Mm-hmm. Since motherfucking women ain't using this shit.
Yeah, they're definitely using it. They're definitely having babies. I'm glad you said that because that's really one of the first times that I came up with the idea of, you know what? It's okay if you don't want to have kids because some people shouldn't. I always had a disdain for if I went on Facebook and I saw somebody was pregnant again, it was their 4th or 5th kid, you know, they got several baby daddies. It was always like, how her? And why is she allowed to make that choice? And someone like me who has a savings and checkings and a house and a life to provide, I'm still responsible saying, you know what? I can't just get pregnant. Me. But I really, if I did, I would do a better job than her. But the point is I'm not. And I'm in a better position than she is to be having a baby, and I'm deciding not to, and she still gets to be allowed to decide to do it. Yeah, and it's just weird. It's a weird, awful feeling. Because
no one want to hold people accountable, especially family members, sisters, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, about their fuck-ups. Like I said, who do you blame for your separation and having to go to those houses? You will have to choose one. You see what I'm saying? And say, you know what? My dad was really the irresponsible.
I think I would put it on both of them because on holidays, why didn't they just say it's not our kids' fault that we're not together? What we gonna do? Who hosting Christmas this year?
You watched a lot of Disney movies growing up, didn't you?
Yeah. But isn't it the right answer? Why is it the kids' responsibility? Why did when my parents decided to get a divorce, outside of why they don't like each other, me and my sister didn't do anything. So how do we keep their life as normal as possible should have been the first point of discussion. How do the kids stay normal? Do they have Christmases separate when we were together? No. So we should never have them have Christmas outside of this home without both of us. Period.
I don't really know the answer, and even if it's clear cut like that, but what I will say is this. Because the onus a lot of times will go on one person more than the other. Just because roles. Some women might feel like your dad needed to take a financial role that he didn't ask for. You know what I'm saying? Some people pick and choose when we can go 50-50, and then they pick and choose when they want you to do more. And then I think that creates the separations, the fights, you're not doing enough, so no, you can't see your daughter when you want to and stuff like that. Like, I'm just trying to be a realist.
I know I like it because I think my mom was like that. I think my mom was in banking, so my mom did well for herself early off where she could give us nice holidays. But I think that she wanted to be clear that I did that. Exactly. This is our Christmas. So there's no willingness to say, you know what, even though I bought all the presents, I'm going to still call the daddy and be like, you need to be here the morning they opening up their presents. It don't matter who bought them.
I got you. And
that's what should have happened.
And that's her telling him what to do. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, when you talk about finances, you hit the key word. I did that. You did what? You got them some presents. You did what a parent's supposed to do. And let that parent do what they supposed to do. It doesn't have to be as big. It doesn't have to be as fabulous. It doesn't have to be as bright. And I think that's a lot of times what we lose sight of. So the other parent is saying, hey, I'll need to outdo the other person's. That party was bigger than your party. It was 4 people at your party.
Had a party at all.
It's 22 people at that party, and she might not play with none of them 22 people. That's all I'm saying. So, in my wrap up, I'm going to just say, really at the end of the day, I'm glad we had a discussion, but I will say, that I don't really think it's a clear-cut answer, but I will say that definitely both parents are needed. And I'll say, like, if you find yourself in a situation where you are separate, just remember that that person has a mother that they need to see, and that person has a father that they need to see and spend time with.
And in my wrap up, I think creative parenting is the only thing we could really look forward to, because I don't think after this show women are not going to go out and just get pregnant or decide to raise children on their own.
Someone
I
getting
feel
slayed
like
tonight.
Yeah.
Someone
So I think that
overly beat up tonight.
Exactly. So I think that even though we are having the conversation, I'm going to say that I hope people continue to have a conversation. But furthermore, I think that if we focus on creative parenting and we focus on keeping the kids' life as normal as possible to give them an advantage, then we can come up with ways to make difficult situations work. I think the kids are worth it. Fuck your feelings. Next topic. So we're going to talk about whether it is a disadvantage to a younger woman or man to date an older man or woman. I think there are some very clear disadvantages right away. Let's get them out the way, because we're not going to spend any time talking about it anyway. Clear disadvantage. He's old. He can't give you a baby. Okay, that's clear. If you're dating someone older, there may be an issue with whether you want to procreate or not. Don't have
You
to.
said he can't give you a baby?
Either or. Sometimes older men can't. Sometimes older women can't. It would depend on if you got an 18, if you got a 25-year-old man. I'm sure. I don't know how old men stop having babies.
Till we deaf.
You guys can have babies forever?
Till we go into the ground. We can get someone pregnant.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what you
So
saying?
I guess that's just
I'm like, what the hell you
I
talking
guess
about?
that's just on the woman's point though. So
Yeah.
if a woman is dating,
Yeah.
I mean, if a younger guy is dating an older woman, he may be sacrificing children. But that's a very clear disadvantage that we can see. I think you and I really want to focus on the disadvantages people don't always see, and that's the mental disadvantage I think that we keep hearing coming up, is that older people have a way of kind of manipulating or molding, and people, I say mold, other people say manipulate. I don't have a problem with it. Let me just say that. If I'm dating, because I often date people I want to lead anyway. So for me, if I chose an older man, would I look at myself being disadvantaged because of his mind versus mine? No. Because I think there's a lot to learn from someone who's seen it and done it and heard it. Period. Unless this guy's just the devil, there is something positive about him knowing what to do or what has happened before, what not to try, where not to go. It's hard, I think, out here. I think freedom feels good. I think making your choices on your own, in theory, is great. But I also think you have to go out there willing to get dirty and decide that you're just going to get back up every time you fall. But if somebody was over there saying, look, you're going to fall about 1,500 times before you reach your destination. If you come over here, I'll cut that fall in half. So you telling me I can fall 750 times and still make it if I go with you? I'm going with you. That's just common sense to me. If I feel like are there reasons why I shouldn't go? Vet the person to see. But if you're fucking him, you're giving him your body, then if you've made that decision to lay down with him, then what's so wrong with you taking his advice and letting him mold and shape you? You're already doing the most by laying down.
There'll be a lot of women that disagree with you right there.
I guess.
So disadvantages for men now.
Disadvantages for men dating a older woman, I think they probably would get more of a disadvantage. Because A, maybe kids are off the table, but 2, I feel like older men are seasoned, wise. Older women are bitter. So they age differently. When women age, experience does something to them.
Here's a question though. So you think all older women are bitter?
Not all of them. Not all of them. Some older women just are kind of, I hate to say this, but more like men to me. I've met older women that have just seen it all, done it all, and like, look, they kick it. They just ain't trying too hard because they already know what the other side looks like. So no, not all older women are bitter. But I can tell you this. I think at some point they were. And then they just found out it don't make no sense to be. Because this is what a nigga is. And this is what he always gonna be. They already know that because they 60, 70 years old. You know what I'm saying? They seen it all.
So when you see someone like, let's say like Michael Jordan with someone younger.
Okay.
You don't get offended.
No.
And you see nothing wrong with that.
I see absolutely nothing wrong with it.
So you don't
races.
So you don't think he taking them, huh?
Different races.
Well, that was a question
No,
for her.
that doesn't bother me.
Nah, I was about to say I don't think that's gonna bother her. Interesting.
I don't think it's manipulative or a disadvantage for him, because what do I expect him to choose? No one goes to a car lot and says, "Give me the used car." You take a used car because there's something going on in your life that dictates that's where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. So I will tell you this: the pushback that you're gonna have is, I'm assuming, but I don't know. Y'all listen, y'all write in, y'all speak y'all mind and say they're gonna say mess with someone your own age.
Why?
That's that.
I just need a good reason why.
I want you to give me one.
I feel like that. There is no good reason why. I feel like I hear something in my ear going, "Oh, because then you can be on equal playing fields and one can't manipulate the other." Not necessarily. Just because I'm 30 and you're 30 don't mean that I'm smarter and you're dumb. Like, it doesn't mean we have the same level of education. We're both 30, but I had a 3.8 GPA and yours was a 1.5. So what the fuck does age have to do with anything?
Yeah. Or you can have a 3.5 and still dumb as a box of rocks. You know what I'm saying?
What does age have to do with it? I think our experiences really dictate.
I just wanted to know from your standpoint. All online, that's, I've seen things like that. Like, the men are on there taking advantage of younger women because they can mold them, they can shape them, and they consider
they're gonna get shaped and molded anyway. It's just gonna take 25 dicks. Instead of them 25 dicks, now they got this one.
And they consider that manipulation, not molding.
It's not.
But that what you talking about with them 25 dicks, that is molding.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No pun intended.
And that's my thing. I think people, yeah, it is. But that's the biggest thing, to give your body to somebody. And I haven't always thought like this. I've had my college days, guys. I'm just saying, at my age, the biggest thing you could do is give your body to someone else. So if you're having sex, then if you should entrust this person to lead you. There should not be one without the other. If you can't follow them anywhere, then they should not be in your bed.
And I agree. I guess my rebuttal to it is this. Really, at the end of the day, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the wisest of the wise. You must learn and unlearn what you have learned. Wise words, Yoda. And I really think that's the problem. Every time I've heard this type of shit, it's come from a woman. He's taking advantage of the women. He's manipulating her. Because he don't want to deal with a real woman. And he don't want to deal with, someone that can make a mind up for their own. They can make their mind up at 19, 20, 23, 25, 30. It doesn't really matter. We have like this warped type of mindset that age is like one of these things that can happen. First of all, statistically speaking, women are more mature than men anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that's not act like younger women cannot manipulate an older man. Happens all the goddamn time. Men get took for shit all the time and get took by a younger woman. So let's get off this notion of like older men can just manipulate this younger woman into shit. There's some sly foxes out here, some sly bitches out here that can get it popping. You know what I'm saying? Wake up, stripped. So let's not act like that. And secondly, you know what I'm saying? I think that notion, the reason why I said you must unlearn what you have learned is because for some kind of reason in the United States, age has always been one of these things that really has never made sense here. You know what I'm saying? When I hear women say, well, he's older so he can manipulate a person. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's go to just simple, regular shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll send a motherfucker to war that's 18, but he ain't old enough to drink because that drinking age is 21. So we can send him to die at 18. He's man enough to go do that shit, but he ain't man enough to drink. This happens in the United States. This is the type of shit that they program in our head, like our type of thinking, and people ain't questioning these type of things. The age doesn't really matter. Like you said, you could be smart as fuck, and I've met people smart as hell. Common sense, not so much. You put them in different type of scenarios that ain't book shit, death is coming their way. You can almost bet money on this shit. You know what I'm saying? Being out here and experiencing certain things a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in Louisiana, grew up in Baton Rouge. It's a city. You know what I'm saying? They have certain people who grow up in suburbs. You have certain people that grow up on the farm. The level of intellect does not equate to their fucking age. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't. The world don't work like that. Someone who hasn't experienced nothing, whether his ass 5, 10, 18, 20, 30, his ignorance is still gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? And the same for a woman. The same for a man. Depending on your lifestyle, who you grew up around, is in your circle, that can determine your level of education and what you know and knowledge and shit like that. But it also doesn't equate to someone taking advantage of you because you're 23 years old or you're 21 years old. I done met some very intellectual, smart motherfuckers. Not too long ago, what was so crazy is I was listening to a podcast and someone brought this up. And that shows you a lot about the internet. Someone was looking at Floyd Mayweather and they was making this joke, like saying, like, you know what I'm saying, yeah, he can't read. He dumb, you know what I'm saying? Because there's been this thing like, you know, he can't read Cat in the Hat and, you know, he can't read. Like, you know, there was a battle went on with him and 50 Cent. And people believe that shit. But I want you to think for a second. If he really can't read and you really think he's that illiterate, why is he richer than you? Why does he have more money than most motherfuckers that's walking this earth? If he's really not that smart. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a high school education to make money. You don't. Does that make you smart? This motherfucker graduated from college and don't make as much money is him. Right. And he ain't graduated from high school. Right. Does those two equate together? No. You know what I'm saying? Someone could be around someone and learn exactly what they need to learn to navigate through life. Mm-hmm. A woman can learn exactly what she needs to learn to navigate through life. A man can learn exactly what they need to do to navigate through life and not get taken advantage of by someone older, younger, or whatever the case may be. If you got took, you got took.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. The age ain't got nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? When a scam artist take you, I don't recall them ever calling and saying, how old are you? Are you 12? 18? I can take advantage. A scam artist will take you no matter what.
It's a voice. You don't know how old he is.
He don't give a fuck. If you fall enough to fall into that trap, you just fell into the trap. Mm-hmm. If you dumb enough to get took advantage of by an older man or older woman, that's your own fault. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with their age. But at the same point in time, I don't really feel it's an age situation. Not for me.
Yeah, I don't agree that it's age at all. I don't think that it's age, and I also don't think that molding, which is really my whole point in this conversation, is I don't think that molding is a negative. I think that they've taken it and changed it to manipulation because we're in this power movement for women. And I think a lot of that has come from women. I haven't heard the complaint from men too much. I've heard the complaint from women saying, oh, he don't need to be with her. He's too old for her. He's manipulating her. Like, so is the dude that's the same age as her. He also will manipulate her. Correct. And take her down the wrong path, and she gonna get off that dick and get on another dick that's also gonna manipulate her in some way. As a matter of fact, I think that's just human nature. We find ways to get what it is that we need. Women manipulate men all the time. You want to ask for a Birkin bag, so you're going to go get you some new lingerie, get your hair and your nails done, throw on some perfume. Honey, that's manipulation. It's all the same. It's all relative.
And you know what's so crazy to me? I noticed that only happens in the black culture. I don't think I ever really hear that in white culture.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I see mothers that mold
groom their daughters to marry older men.
To marry older men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you look at the black community, we always trying to move the goalposts.
Yeah.
Always trying to move the goalposts. And I'm going to give you an example of why. As I was sitting here listening to you say that, I was saying, damn, this is crazy. Because you just answered your own question. And I'm going to show you how. You was like, if they're molding you, I don't see anything wrong with that. But you know what? Most women don't have nothing wrong with that. When it's coming from school, work, a job, any of that. The only time they have a problem with being molded is for a relationship. That's most black women. You know what I'm saying? Use the word mold at your job. Hey, this one's going to mold you to be
the best employee.
To be the best employee.
Yeah.
You have no problem with it. Hey, they're going to mold you into being the next vice president of this corporation. You have no problem with it. But you put a man into play and talking about a relationship, I'm going to mold you. Mold me?
You trying to manipulate me.
There you go.
Yep.
We changed the goalposts all of a sudden.
So sad.
In a relationship that now he's manipulating you. He's taking advantage of you, girl. You know what I'm saying? And we just have this thing where it's a tug of war between the male and female agenda, especially in the black culture, that it puts us against one another. Realistically, we have to learn that there is a such thing as a leader, there is a such thing as a follower, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And we exercise it every day.
We do, though.
We live in a society that runs like that everywhere else. You just mentioned it. At work, you have a higher up, and that's not a problem for you. And the funny thing is, your higher up at work can cross over to your personal life and say, hey, we don't like those pants. We don't like your hair like that. And it's not a problem. But you could tell your homegirl that your man said he didn't like your hairstyle, and he should be like, girl, you get your hair done for you. Fuck him. But your employer can tell you that they don't like you to wear your hair like that, and you will change it.
That's why I just gave you that example. I'm glad you caught on. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to put it in those terms, so there are going to be people watching the show that's going to see that, well, he full of shit, this and that. And I wanted to show you that you don't have a problem with being mold. Because when you go to jobs and shit like that, now don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the ghetto folks, the one that just quits job. Motherfucker tell me what to do when I'm walking out. I ain't talking about the ones that work at the Waffle House and shit like that. Jobs that don't matter. I ain't talking about the fry cook. I'm talking about people who they career matter. You know what I'm saying? That come home and complain and know that they have to go to the job and get that job done to get that paycheck to take care of their family. Mm-hmm. You have no problem molding into what that job wants you to be. You just have a problem with that in your relationship. And it doesn't necessarily mean, if you know how to vet a man, then that shouldn't even be a thought. You know what I'm saying? Because there are men who are older that can mold a woman into be a great woman. There is a woman, an older woman, that sometimes can mold a younger man into being a great man. Are there people that take advantage of people?
There will always
You're right.
be.
That's way of life. Mm-hmm. I've never ran across someone that took advantage of me. Of course I have. I have, you have, everybody have. You know what I'm saying? That's how life goes. It's your job to protect your castle. It's your job to protect your temple, which is your body, your mind, your soul, and everything else. So protect it. But it's also good to share it with people, and that can fuel you and help you grow into something you need to be better at, something you might not understand, something that can give you some wise wisdom and make you a better person. And there ain't nothing wrong with that.
At all. I think that's the top of the hour, guys, for our 2 topics, but we still have to tap in. And if you don't know what that is, that's just your questions, your stories. So you should write in to...
You DM us. At IG. The Relations Podcast. IG or TikTok, and we will answer those questions. But I actually did get a tap in from a young man going through a real situation. To sum this situation up in short, him and his girlfriend had been together for like 3 years. They actually broke up, and he met a new young lady. They embark on a new journey. And him and that new lady actually had a tiff, and he had a slip with his ex. To bring it full circle, the ex now is pregnant, and he is back with the new girl. Shit does happen. Shit does happen. And he's asking the question on, like, she's mad. And he's asking, you know, does she have the right to get mad? He's like, we wasn't together. You know, we broke up for a brief spell. You know what I'm saying? I had history with my ex. I had a momentary lapse of, you know, of in that punani. You know what I'm saying? And through that one, you know, lapse, you know, she's pregnant. But now he's back with the new chick, and he's saying that she's mad. So he's saying, asking the question, and you're a young lady, like,
does she have the right to be mad?
Does she have the right to be mad? Is she handling this the right way? Like, what is your thought process about this?
Well, technically, the right to be mad, I think people are going to go first to they were broken up, which would alleviate her madness. You should not be mad because you were not together. This is where I will disagree. I would be mad because the person that I spent 3 years with decided to be irresponsible just because we had a fight. That's what I'm saying.
You know, but you got it backwards though. He's with the new chick.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm the new chick. So as the new chick, I'm saying to my guy that slept with his ex-girlfriend and got her pregnant, I understand mistakes happen. I understand you slept with her. Now explain to me why you slept with her without a rubber. Then explain to me why you came in her. So there are several choices. The first bad choice was sleeping with her. But now there were several bad choices after that. Nigga, you didn't even pull out. So you decided to continue making bad choices after the first bad choice. I can forgive the first bad choice. The first bad choice is you slept with her. You had a lapse. We all make mistakes. But now explain to me why you made 2 more bad choices. You made 2 more after that. You slept with her. Then you made the choice not to put on a rubber. Then you made the choice to nut in her. You didn't even pull out. So now you can't just tell me, hey, I made a mistake. You have to make it make sense. What did I do wrong, or what are you going through to make you have that many lapse in choices or bad decisions or lapse in judgment is what I mean. There were several lapses in judgment that he made that I would have a problem with, which would fuel my anger.
Gotcha. And your first lap of judgment was breaking up with him to let him get over there to go jump in that punani. That was your first lapse of judgment. See, the thing about it is, I hate to say this, is like a lot of people don't want to have accountability. And gotcha.
Don't go jump off the bridge.
Gotcha. But this is the thing with women. A lot of the thing with women is y'all say shit that y'all don't mean, but it flies out your mouth. You want to go be with that bitch? Then go be with that bitch. And he did. See, that is the lapse of judgment that a lot of times when those fights come into play, that women start forgetting what they said. You know what I'm saying?
Go be with that bitch.
And he did.
I didn't say go be with that bitch and fuck her without a rubber.
Yeah, but you
go be with that bitch and nut in that pussy. Did I?
No, but you shouldn't not let her get that far anyway. You should have summed it up in that fight and was like, look, we can work this out, and that way you don't let him. It's called protecting what's yours, and that's the reason why I want to get to that. I'm not gonna excuse, because a lot of people will be like, oh no, he's just taking a side. No, what I'm saying is this. You want to protect what's yours, and a lot of times you need to stand on what's yours. If you thought for any second that you and this guy had a future, then you need to fight for what you have is yours. Guys do get that every day and get accused of being possessive and get accused of like, oh, he crazy and he deranged and all this other type shit. But they protect what's theirs. So often you'll see guys that be like, don't talk to your ex. Don't put yourself in that situation. Don't do that. You will never hear no man, unless he don't want your ass, say, go be with that nigga. If he say that, he mean it. Not a woman. Woman think that they can play this tit for tat game and say some shit until it blow up in their face. Pow, pow. You know what I'm saying? And then that happens. And now you gotta eat the pie. So, can you be mad? Yes, you can be mad. I ain't saying that. I'm not gonna take away your human emotion. But what I will say is, if you really wanted to protect what's yours, you don't send them out there like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was taught that at a young age. You don't send something away that you really want. Regardless what your mouth is yapping, remember that shit has power. So when it comes back in your face, remember sometimes you might have to eat it. And now you're dealing with you, him, and a baby.
And that's another episode of Relations. My name is Kana Lassiter, and you can find me on IG as Kana Lassiter and on Twitter as Kana Lassiter Perry.
Hey, you can find your boy on both platforms. That's Twitter and IG under 51 Stage. Hey, you looking for the shirts, you can get them on Alpha Male God Creations IG. I want to thank everybody for joining in. Check us out on Sundays at 8 p.m. Hey, we taking donations. We got the super chat on YouTube. So if you're looking at those, go ahead and do donations, help the show grow. And I'm going to sign us out like I always do. You know how I go.